Hey everybody, welcome back. Another session recap. That was not a typo. This is 30 by 500 meter. This got a significant amount of interest on social media, and I find it interesting for a couple reasons. I've done 15K before, and this is exactly what I did. Now, I think most people who have been on an indoor rower have done at least one 500 meter. And I'm sure the majority of those people know just how uncomfortable those are. Now, anyone that has rowed, a significant amount, has done repeat 500s, and knows that those can be quite uncomfortable and quite challenging. So I think when you have that reference, you look at something like 3500s and think, that dude's crazy. But hear me out. It looks crazier than it probably felt. This is something I will guarantee I'll do again. It was not punishing. It was enjoyable. It was hard, but it was one of those good challenges that I look forward to tackling in the future. The key with something like this, where you have a lot of, pretty fast repeats, the pace has to be sustainable. And I went into this kind of with a loose target of 365 watts. I have a fascination with watts right now, so it doesn't really matter. That's about I think I was about a 1:39 pace or so. I was under that throughout this thing. Regardless, it was a pace I felt like I could hold for at the time when I started, I didn't necessarily plan on doing 30. I had the idea that I would like to do 30. But a good part of this experiment in this session was just seeing how my body and how my heart rate would react. So I've done 20 before, at I think a little bit slower pace. I would have to look. I have a vague memory of doing 20 of these, but I also think I alternated with the skier, so kind of flipping back and forth. 500 meter row, minute rest, 500 meter ski, minute rest. I'm pretty sure I was like 135s on the row, maybe 140s or 138s on the ski, and it was a hard go. But that back and forth change, there's enough of a rest, from your rowing muscles and movement to your skiing muscles and movement, that you probably hold a faster pace for longer. But I'd have to kind of go back through and take a look. So pace I chose made sense for me. So I hoped to get through 20 reps, and I knew if I felt good, if my heart rate was still a reasonable range, and my body felt okay, then doing another 10 is going to be more of a mental challenge. Throughout this, the desire to keep going was the thing I focused on, and there's a lot of tricks with that. So one thing I did was I just focused on finishing 5, so basically every 5th I would give myself the treat of unstrapping and walking around, and I think that little break was enough to keep me in it, to get another 5 and get another 5. And still, feel fresh. Because as soon as you lose interest, it's almost impossible to stay in a session. And something that's going to take, upwards of an hour and a half, where you have the opportunity to stop. In any of these intervals, I could stop. I made sure to stay focused and stay in it. The pace came very easily. It was very consistent the entire time. I stuck to the same stroke rate throughout for the most part. As you watch, you'll notice that each rep finishes about 47, I think it was 47 strokes, up until maybe like 48. And counting strokes has always been something that I use to take my mind off of the monotony of rowing. Sliding back and forth can get boring, and there's a lot of mental tricks that athletes can use to stay engaged. And counting strokes is an easy one. So if we use 47 as the stroke number, my first 7 strokes, I would just count to 7. Just trying to find a rhythm, not necessarily paying attention to pace all that much. And then from there, it's just groups of 10 strokes, then another 10 strokes, then there's 20 left. I would look away and just count, just trying to feel the rhythm, get through 10 more, and then at that point it's really easy to finish. Any discomfort you feel during a rep, it's easy to ignore if you put your focus elsewhere. So if you don't count strokes and you find yourself sort of giving in to the discomforts of a particular session, just try it. 10's an easy one to get to. Anyone can get 10 more strokes in. And I found that to be really useful number and useful count for this particular session. This is rep 20 with about 10 to go, or getting past this one. I knew this was going to be sort of the point of, will I give in and be satisfied with 20 and a good 20, or do we want to push on and hit that 30? Ideally, I'd love to be able to bang out 50 of these. This was much more enjoyable than straight 15K. I'm not pulling 137s for 15K. So it was nice to be able to put down some good watts at a good rate for that amount of volume without a ton of stress on the system. Heart rate, and you'll see at the very end, there's a picture of the graph. Stayed really relatively consistent, didn't even get into that 90% plus range. So whether that is a positive thing for a session like this, I felt like it was. I think being able to maintain sustainable speed like this is important, and if I ever do this again, I have a target to aim for. If I can repeat something like this for more reps, or even maybe longer duration reps, maybe something like 20 by 750s, same pace idea, to see how things react. That's another option. Anyways, at this point, we're about to see rep 25. This is when the body started to just feel off. The rhythm started to go. I was really noticing my lats more. The burn in my legs was kicking in a little bit sooner, and it was just getting more difficult to maintain a good, consistent stroke rhythm. I almost had to fight myself, fight that fatigue. So I haven't had the body shut down in a way like this before, in recent memory. And I found that interesting and kind of difficult to manage and deal with, because as soon as that sort of physical distraction comes in, and you have, it's gonna, it might stress you out a little bit. You might notice your heart rate gets elevated because you're focused on this. What's this problem all of a sudden? I gotta deal with this. That was interesting. So that last 5 was when I really had to sort of bear down and work to keep the same splits and work to keep a good rhythm to try and finish that full 30. last one. You'll notice I'm in the basement. It was far cooler on that day downstairs, and I think it definitely helped keep me settled. One thing I found interesting, and I see this a lot on intervals, is my heart rate is still coming down even as the interval starts. This being the last one, I allowed myself to sort of build and hold a little bit higher pace early. And really I'm just looking at watts and trying to stay, well above what the average has been. So whether that's 380s or higher, it's always nice, at the end to sort of finish a little bit faster. But yeah, again, heart rate, very steady climb, which for 500s, typically if you're doing sprints, the rise is a lot sharper. But this felt good. I said that to a lot of people. Like, this was not as hard as it looks on paper. The idea is worse than the output, and pacing is everything. If I tried to do 3500s at inside my 5K pace or closer to 2K pace, that's a world of suffering that you can anticipate. But this being, this was from a pacing standpoint, from a split standpoint, is about 2K plus 8. It was something I could hold, and next time I do this, it'll either be more reps or a little bit faster split. If you give this a try, please tag me in it. I would love to see your effort. Don't be shy. This is a challenging session. It's a rewarding session, and I hope you give it a shot. Thanks for watching.